Hi, this is Melissa with Quibby-Made Photography. Today I thought it would be a nice gesture for me to do a short video about doing your own newborn session at your house. I have gotten a few emails in the past few weeks of people telling me, I just had my baby, I know you're not working, I'm just going to go ahead and cancel my session because by the time we get around to doing it, the baby's not going to be tiny anymore. I just want to say that most photographers, myself included, do not have a problem shooting older babies. I shoot older babies all the time. It's no big deal. So keep your session. But I understand that, you know, in that first 2 weeks when the baby is extra squishy, that maybe you want to take some pictures yourself. So I decided to gather some things from my home that you could possibly use to take your own newborn session. First things first, I'm in my studio. Out of all the, I'm not doing this just because it's my studio and it's where I shoot and do the baby's pictures. I'm doing this because this is the best lighting in my whole house. It always has sunlight. It has a lot of windows right here. The front of my house is dark. In general, my house is pretty dark. But this window, and if it weren't cloudy, it would be very beautiful right now. Usually around like 11, it starts looking really nice. So my suggestion would be look at your house. Where do you get the most light? Okay, so it's cloudy right now, so you're not going to get as good of a lighting situation, but it'll still be okay because it's not over bright. And if you'll notice, or maybe you can't notice because I've bumped up the exposure on this video, I do not have my lights on, my overhead lights, the light bulbs. Sometimes it might be okay to use artificial light, but if you can use natural light, that will be the best case scenario. It just looks better. You don't have any weird color tones, and so it just would be the best thing for you to do. Okay, so I want to tell you the things that I got. I tried to not cheat and get things that I bought for taking newborn pictures. So I'll just introduce you. First of all, this is a piece. This was the bottom of a dress. It was a very pretty dress. It just fell a little bit weird. Sorry, I'm picking off seeds. Why are there seeds on that? Who knows? It's stretched. It's very stretchy. Okay. So your goal is to find something stretchy. This was connected to a dress, and I just cut it off. I don't think you should cut your dresses. I'm not endorsing that. I just really love this fabric, and the way that it fell on my body, it wasn't working out for me. So I actually, even though this is not typically what I would use as a wrap, you can see the size. It's basically a skirt. It's not typically what I would use as a wrap. It will still work, and this is super stretchy. So the stretchier, the better. This is a wrap that I bought. So this would be the size wrap. So I'm 5 foot tall. So what is that? Like 5 foot? And this is with the stretch. This is a stretchy piece of material. It's jersey knit. If you know, well, I don't even know if the fabric stores are open, but if they were, you could find a piece of jersey knit. You also could find a t-shirt that was really stretchy, or some sort of shirt that was stretchy, and you could cut it if you wanted to, or you can just scratch that part altogether. But you can wrap with other things. You can wrap with muslin. You can wrap with cheesecloth. But I found that the easiest thing to wrap with is something stretchy. So my next thing is, this is my baby. Typically, you would let your baby not wear any clothes. You definitely would not go for something like this. But this baby's body looks a little scary, so I just am wearing a onesie. So pretend like this is either a skin-tight little all-white outfit, or he's not wearing any clothes. Choppy, I keep having interruptions. Okay, so typically it would be naked. The next thing I have is a boppy pillow. Oh, back to the baby. Try to do it at a time where your baby is sleepy. I know sometimes babies are happier in the morning, sometimes they're happier at night. Most of the times they're happier in the morning. So just think about your own baby, when they might be the happiest, and then choose to do it at that time. When I did my own newborn session for my son, it was a piece of work. I ended up doing like one setup a day. I would plan the setup. I would do one setup. I was tired and sore and all that night, but I knew I had to get some pictures taken of him. He made it as difficult as possible, but I would do it around in the morning, and I would just do one setup. When you're doing it yourself, you can basically choose when you want to do it. So pick a time that they're happy, and sleepy would be ideal as well. Okay, so, but sleepy is not necessary. Happy is. The next thing I have is a boppy pillow. These might be old school, but whatever pillow you use for breastfeeding or even bottle feeding, a round pillow. I like it because it's nice and fluffy. I think the fluffier the better. Another thing I have, which I have this in my cabinet. Maybe people don't have this. If you had a bag of dried beans, or if you had, this is a like a rice pack that you could put like on a injury. A rice pack. It's not necessary. You could use like receiving blankets if you wanted to. But this is something I had. I'm trying to not cheat, so this is what I have. Okay, this is like a fleece blanket that it's nice and warm, but it's very ugly. But it doesn't matter what it looks like because you're not going to see it. It's just something that is not too thick that I can easily wrap up like this. I have this basket that I borrowed from my neighbor about 4 years ago, and be careful if you loan me things because sometimes I feel like it becomes my own if I keep it too long. So she's never asked for it back, and I haven't given it. But if she did, I'd give it to her. But I'm just trying to be fair. I did not buy this for newborn purposes. I borrowed it. She doesn't need it. I need it more than her. Anyways, okay, so I have a basket, a boppy pillow. Okay, this is a cushion. Sit in my handy chair. This is a cushion off my couch. I chose the one that's a little more firm. I have this IKEA couch I have in my studio. If you've ever been in my studio, you would know what couch I'm talking about. So this is a nice big surface. It's soft. You could theoretically do it on your floor, but let's just be nice and do it on a couch cushion. The good thing about the couch cushion is you can kind of move it around and not have to worry about, they can be flat on their back and not have to worry about them being on the hard floor. I have this is, I would never do gray, but some people like gray. But I just wanted to just use things I have. So this is a sheet that is made of, it's jersey knit, it's knitted. The reason I picked this is because if you do cotton, first of all, wrinkles are not attractive in any way, whether it be in newborn photos or even on your own clothing. Although I never iron, so you would probably think that I love wrinkles, but whatever. But the good thing about this jersey knit sheet is that when I wrap it around this couch cushion, which honestly the couch cushion by itself would be fine, but I just wanted to show you. So get something that you can smooth out, whether it be a heavy blanket or a quilt that's grandma made or anything you can smooth out. So this, when I put this on this couch cushion, I can kind of like stretch it around and make a really nice flat surface. Because like I said, wrinkles are not professional in pictures. It's one of the things that you'll notice sometimes sets the pros apart from people who just started, is that you'll see that they didn't take the effort. Either they didn't take, I'm not saying that. I don't mean they didn't take the effort. They just don't quite understand how important it is to have a very clean, flat surface. Okay? So we're going with gray right here. But I could have just used a cushion. Ideally, this would be white. If you were coming to my studio, I have a piece of fabric that I bought specifically for this kind of thing, and it's white. Overpriced piece of fabric. Way more than you should spend for fabric, but it's beautiful. It photographs beautifully. I don't know how this photographs. We'll see. But that doesn't matter. You're just using what you have. I have children at my door. Okay. So the two things that I bought for newborn photography, but you may have laying around your house, like I said, is this wrap, probably about 5 foot long and about, I don't know, a foot deep. And this is another thing that I think I really like, especially if you have siblings or more than one kid, some sort of textured blanket. Oh, it still has clips on it. I washed it outside with the hose. So I was hanging it up on the fence. The good thing about this, so when I use this, I'm going to just put it over here, over this thing, so it's nice and soft. This, I mean, some people have these in their homes. I mean, it could be like a rug, it could be a blanket, anything that has a nice texture, just to give you some variety, because you're going to have the gray, and then you can have like this fuzzy stuff, and then we also are going to have a basket post. I'm going to show you 3 different ideas with just things you can use around your house. So I would suggest something textured. If you live near me and you know me, we know each other, I am not against letting you borrow this. I'm not sure exactly how we could sanitize it. I could put it out in the sun, but I have an extra one. So if someone feels the need to borrow this just for a few days, as long as you bring it back, I am completely fine with that. Just let me know. Okay, so we're going to get started. what I always start with is the baby being awake. And I call it unposed. Just trying to get this nice and smooth. I call it unposed because I'm not posing. It's probably not a term I made up. Sometimes I think I made stuff up that I didn't actually make up. Okay, so one thing I want you to notice is you do unposed. Ideally, you would do this when they're awake. I think it's so cute when you do it when they're awake. I am going to take my baby. I'm just getting little, I'm telling you, details matter when it comes to this stuff. So I see like little bits of, I don't even know, seeds. What is happening here? Just trying to get them off. Because if you're not editing them, we're not going to do anything in Photoshop. So we are going to make it as good as we can right out of the camera. I'm going to use my husband's cell phone, which I believe is an iPhone 9. It's not the newest one. Okay, so this baby would be, I'm just going to find something that I could use. This is a scarf. I probably wouldn't use these two together because they don't quite go. Actually, not too bad. This is a scarf, and everyone has scarves. If you don't have a scarf, ask your friend if they have a scarf. Your grandma might have scarves. I don't know. You don't even have to use them though. So the first thing I'm going to do, okay, so this might look like it's kind of washed out because the sun is on it. There's not a bunch of sun here, but the sun is definitely coming from this way. My only lighting in this room is coming from this way. Something you want to avoid is you want to avoid the light coming up. I don't know if you can see this. Coming up the nose. It's just very unflattering. Even with adults, you always want the light to come down. It would never be smart to light yourself upwards. If you've ever noticed like a scary movie where they hold the flashlight under their face and they're like telling spooky things and the light just looks, it's not flattering. So you wouldn't want to do that. You want to be careful of the light coming down like this, because what's going to happen is you're going to get light on the top. You're going to get light on the top of the cheeks and the top of the head, but their eyes are going to be dark and this lower part's going to be dark. So the best case scenario is to have it where it's coming in from the side, and sometimes it's coming in from the side up the baby's face, like at the baby's face like this. I mean, like straight onto the side is probably fine, but this way is a good way. And that way you get this side of the face is pretty lit, and you'll see a little bit of light on this cheek. It just gives you dimension in the photo. I mean, before I learned about photography, I would have been like taking the baby and just doing straight lighting. But then I realized that the more shadows you show in your photo or whatever, the better it's going to look in the finished product. So what I do is I would take the baby. I have my own 5-year-old child screaming in the background. I'm sorry if you can hear her. She gets very grouchy after she gets to watch TV. I don't know why. I do that to myself. But anyways, what I would do is just let the baby lay. And then flat surface, he's on his back. What I'm going to do first, I have the phone. And I'm going to go to, oh, I don't have portrait mode on here. Oh well. Okay, so I'm just going to put it on regular photo mode, and I'm going to take some pictures of the baby. If you notice this baby looks scary, so just ignore these photos when you see them. But what I'm doing is I want to make sure that when I shoot the baby, either I come straight down where it's parallel with the baby, or I'm coming up like this. So I'm going to take some from above. I'm going to take some from the side. You never want to shoot it like this. It's not flattering. So I'm going to take some from the side. You always want to try to do it from the dark side. Another pose that I really like is the baby having his hands up. Sometimes when they're asleep, they'll let you do this. When they have their hands up like that. And another thing you can do is this is called the tucked in pose. So once they get their hands up like that, ignore the baby's outfit, because really he should be with no clothes on, or actually just a diaper. And I'm going to kind of like tuck this in, make it look like he's sleeping in his little bed. Okay, I can put the arms down if I want to. One thing that I sometimes like to do is I try to get the baby to look towards me, so in that way I'd want to be on the way that the light's coming in. So I'll sometimes try to get the baby not like that. Try to get the baby to turn like out. Let's see. So I'll move it the way the body is going away from me. The head's closest to me. And and the baby always cooperates with this, which is really fun. Is I'll try to get the baby, I'll shoot down like this, but I'm going to try to get the baby to look towards me. So what's going to happen is the first thing I'm going to see in the photo is the baby's face. I'm going to see the baby's face, and I'm going to see the baby's body last, which that makes the face much more in focus. So this baby doesn't have a bendable neck. Let's see if you can get the idea. I'm turning him on his side, but ideally you would want the baby to kind of look up on its own, look up towards you. So you're shooting down at the baby. He's looking towards the light. If my baby didn't look so scary, it would be a lot better. So I'm going to get him to kind of look towards me. Maybe this hand could be like, nah, his arms are so long. Normal babies are not this weird looking. So I'm going to get him to look up at me. And I'm going to shoot down the body. Okay? Another thing you can do is just get like an aerial view. Make sure you're not making a shadow. I'll let these arms up of the whole body. Okay? Okay, moving on. You can take different angles. This would be the opportunity for you to take the feet, and you could take your scarf and you take the feet and pull up his pants a little. You put the feet together and you can take it. This is actually harder than it looks. But you can take the scarf and kind of wrap it around so that the feet kind of stay in one spot. And then when you take the photo, you only get the feet and the wrap. Let's see here. Ideally, you only get the feet and the wrap, but let's see if that one was in focus. It's hard to tell. I don't think it was. Make sure that the most important part, the part closest to you, is in focus, because that's what matters the most. This is where you can get the little hand. Feature shots. You can, if you're really being ambitious, you could get the eyelid. Sometimes you can just get a profile view. I don't know, it depends on what kind of lighting you have, but if you have a lot of nice lighting that way, you can just kind of come and get like, I'm gonna hold the baby up. I'm gonna hold the baby up so that the light is kind of shining on us. Don't do this to your own baby, it's dangerous. Come on, you can do it. It's kind of hard to work with the camera. So the idea is to just, it is way too bright. I don't know about that photo. Okay, so moving on. What I'm gonna do next is I'm going to put the baby on a pillow, and I'm going to use this rug or textured blanket. And the reason I'm putting a pillow under it is because when you take anyone's picture, especially babies, maybe mostly babies, I don't know about adults, you want the first thing you see to be the baby's face. So a lot of times it's a trick of the trade to make the baby the way that the face and the head is higher up than the body, so that you get this idea of this cute baby. First thing you see is its face, and the body seems smaller. I know it sounds weird, but it is incredibly flattering on babies because they have big round faces and their bodies are just kind of an afterthought. So, okay, before going into this, I'm going to do a little bit of wrapping. Okay, so I'm going to actually come a little closer. I'm going to use my, I'm going to back up a little. I'm going to use, okay, so, first of all, I'm going to pull this down just because, so you can understand. You would not want to have this horrible outfit showing in your photos. You just wouldn't. So first thing I'll do is I'll take my big piece of fabric, and it's thin and lightweight, very stretchy. Ideally, like I said, this would be better, but because we're just trying to work with what we have, we're going to use this. This is very similar to the swaddle blankets that you can buy. They come with a matching hat, or sometimes come with a matching robe. It's a big square, and we're always confused when parents bring it in here and I don't know how to use it, but so we're just going to work with it today. So what I always do is I put this on my knees. I'll have one side will be shorter than the other, and I'll put the baby in it, kind of put his feet up like this, and I'm going to cross the baby's feet kind of against my body. You should feel pretty stable with this pose. And then I'm going to take the arms. Now, one thing you want to be very careful of when you're doing this by yourself is you don't want the wrap to go along against the baby's throat. It's just common sense. They have very small throats. You don't want to put any pressure at all. So what I usually do is I'll take the hands and put them on top of each other and put them like right here by the chin. So basically, okay, so you want to be careful not to block the throat. If you notice babies' legs when they're in the womb, it folds up like a little puzzle. It's always my favorite thing. It folds up like a little puzzle, the way that they are just like smashed in your belly. So those feet fold up really nicely. I'll take the hands, put them out the throat, and then I take this short end of the wrap, and I'm going to stretch it as much as I can and wrap it around the baby's elbows. Don't worry about the feet yet, and tuck it as tight as I can. I mean, the tighter the better. As long as you're not putting it right directly on their throat, you're going to be fine going as tight as you can. Because it's stretchy, they love being like this. It's no tighter than your uterus would be. So I'm tucking the whole end around the baby, even the long part. I'm just going to tuck it as much as I can, tight as I can. Okay? So now I have it wrapped around the baby one time. So I'm going to take, and you know, of course my baby has unbendable hands, but yours won't, hopefully. Once I have it wrapped around this top shoulder all the way down to his butt, her butt, right now it's a boy. A girl, was a boy, but now it's a girl. I'm going to keep the feet folded up, and I'm going to take this part, and you always try to keep it tight. I mean, this could take a little bit of practice. You're probably not going to be able to nail it the first 17,000 times, but maybe you can get it where it's workable. So you're going to take this, pull it real good, and then you're going to wrap it kind of downward, covering the feet, taking this with you. Okay, so now you have it wrapped at an angle down the baby's body. Lift the baby up, wrap it around, all the way around until you have this, till it's back on this side. At this point, you know, you can kind of take your wrap it around the baby if you want to. At this point, you kind of have a nice little wrap. Depending on what you're using, it may not be thick enough. You might be able to see through it. This one you can't see through. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of going to like, just keep the baby tighter. I have the legs in. And so I'm just going to, a lot of times when I do this, I'm just going to make it go straight. Instead of going down the baby, I'm going straight over the baby and come back around. And what I would do here, because this looks like a nice, snug little wrap, is I would leave this hanging. You could keep going around. If you wanted to, you see how the baby has like an indentation here. You could kind of roll it up a little and like put it right here. That way it doesn't look, it looks a little more round. Actually, I might just do that. Another thing you can do is you can tie a knot in this part so it gives it kind of like a decorative look. Okay. So there we go. We got her in there like snug as a bug in a rug. Okay. She's still wide awake. It's one of my more stubborn babies. Okay. Now that she's nice and wrapped, and you could try, before you got her wrapped, you could try to take some pictures of the baby just laying here flat. A lot of times when you lay babies on a kind of like an incline, they don't really know what to do with their arms, which who does, right? So you can try taking some before you wrap, because I try to think whenever I'm doing my sessions, I try to think in like order, what will be the least painful way to get from point A to point B. And I try to like get as many shots and did many different ways as I can, so I'm not like undressing, dressing, redressing. I always start with an outfit, and then I'll start with no outfit and I'll work towards the outfit, or I'll start with an outfit, work towards nothing. But you don't want to change in an outfit, do some wrap, and then go back to an outfit. It's not going to work. You're going to have to do that separate days. Okay, so she's nicely wrapped. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make her a little hole down here, and this is her head up here, and I'm going to kind of snug her down in there. The higher her head, the more higher her head can be, the safer you can do. Make sure you're doing it safe. I'm taking this little pad. You could get some burp cloths and just put it kind of under her head. You want her at this kind of angle. So what you can do is she's laying on her back, and I'm making sure she looks nice and smooth. She's laying on it. You don't want the hands to be the first thing you see. Make sure the hands are level with her face or even further back. So I'm pushing it the way her hands are further back. Okay, so you kind of put her like that, and I'm doing this motion where I'm kind of getting her to turn her body almost like a C, but like a backward C. So I want her butt to be firmly down, and I want her to be able to tilt her head back because I want her to look straight at me, and I want all this body to just be an afterthought. Phone, and I'm going to shoot from above. Obviously, if you had something else other than a cell phone, use that. Cell phone won't be your best case. So I'm going to kind of like fill in this padding so she looks like she's nice and cozy. And I'm getting her to look back up at me, focusing on her face, and snapping the picture. This is where you could add a little headband. The smaller the headband, the better. But this girl's got some serious hair, so I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm going to pick one that a client left here. If this is your headband, come back and get it. Remember what I said about letting me borrow things or just leaving things? I forget where it came from. It may end up being mine. So something simple. This is really cute. Like I said, a client brought this in. Put the headband on. Do not put it directly in the front. It looks like a unicorn. Slide it off to the side. And then take another little picture of her. And now you have that. You can, again, come from the side angle. Get her to look towards you or not. This would be a good point for you to get sibling. And I don't have another kid in here. Although I have plenty of kids. None are available right now. Where you could take her off of the couch cushion so she's not so high up and put it flat on the ground. Do your bumbo pillow and your fuzzy blanket, and the baby's nice snug in here. This would be a good opportunity for you to get big brother or big sister to come and lay on side of the pillow. I love when a big brother is holding the sibling, so the big brother or big sister would lay down, and then the baby would go in the crook of the arm, and you would shoot straight down like I showed before, or from the head down. Another thing you can do is you can kind of leave her like this, and you can let big brother or big sister kind of curl their body around them and just tell them, give them a kiss, hug the baby, and just kind of take some candidates from above. Be careful that you don't drop your cell phone on your baby's head. That is one bad thing about using a cell phone. Thankfully, they probably would be okay, but just be careful of that. Okay, so now that I have some shots on the flat one, I have some shots on the fuzzy blanket. I'm keeping in mind that I shoot straight down or from the forehead down, never up the nose. And I also like to shoot what's called from the dark side, which would mean the side where there's no light. I would shoot this way into the light. Okay, so that's two different poses that we've done. Okay, the last one, move all this out the way. The last one we're gonna do, don't leave your baby on there while you're moving it around. Okay, last one we're gonna do is in a basket or a prop pose. You can go around your house, you can find anything, like anything. My daughter's got a little crib you could use. The same concept is going to apply to any kind of prop you decide to use. So, these tips are gonna apply. Okay, so right now I'm going to get I'm not sure what this is. I think it's like a little tablecloth. I don't even know. Who knows? But it'll work. Anything pretty for my basket. So there are a few things you need to remember when you do basket shots. First of all is your weight. I have some weights in here. Bought these weights fully expecting to be athletic. They ended up just being basket weights. But you know, whatever works, works. Okay, so weights. You want to make sure that there's no possible way that the baby can get in this and flip it one way or the other. So it's best to have even weights on each side. You can use hand weights. You could use bags of rice. You could use anything heavy. But do that first. And then I have my fleece blanket, which is nice and easily rolled up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a side where I want the baby to be. You would think, okay, I just make this basket, I put the baby in it, I take a picture, I go on about my life, and I just took a great picture. The reality of that is that's not going to happen. You're going to put the baby in here. It's going to look like you put the baby in your friend's basket that you stole and you took a picture. So I'm just going to give you a few tips on how to make that not happen. One way is to get some soft fleece blanket. I rolled it up. I'm having a hard time making eye contact with the camera, so if it looks like I'm like jutting around, it's just ignore it. Okay, so this is a fleece blanket that I rolled up just like in a little tube. It kind of is going to depend on what you're posing in. I'm using this basket, but if you use the bed, you might have to make it a different shape. But I made mine this shape, so I'm going to put mine right in here on one end. It would be smart. Okay, so I'm going to do this too. So this is just, you're not going to see any of this. This is the scarf that I had earlier. I'm just putting it down kind of in the bottom just to give it some softness so the baby's not just hanging out on this open wire. So I have a bit, what looks like a pillow here, and my basket's nice and weighted. There's no way the baby can tump this over. And then I have like this on the bottom. This actually might not be high enough, so where's my beanbag? It's under here. Woo. Come here, baby. Okay. If you wanted to at this point, say you wanted to switch colors, you could leave your baby wrapped. It's always smart to wrap the least colorful first, because that way you can just cover up what you already have. The babies are just like, I mean, you just keep adding on layers and they'll be happier with each additional layer. So I would have done this one last, but in this case, we're just gonna have to pretend like that was last. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna rewrap her like I did already. This time's easier because she's already nice and snug. So I'll put back in my waist. I'm doing the same thing, go up over the shoulder, tuck it around on the body, come down at an angle around the bottom of the body, and then all the way around, straight over once, straight over twice. And notice this down here is a hot mess, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to see it. And then I just kind of like adjust her hand so she looks like nice and cute. Probably should have put that in there first. Okay, so I have this pillow. Like I said before, you want to see the baby's face first. So I'm going to make the baby's head up here and their body down here so that it will be kind of like, that's why I made this big pillow. I'm going to use this and I'm just going to kind of casually tuck it in there. Like I said, I think this is a tablecloth, so whatever you can find, I'm sure is fine. You want to make it look a little haphazard, like just kind of leave a little bit over the edge right here, a little over the edge right there. You know, make it look like you just casually tossed it in there, but also think it through. Okay? So I'm going to take my baby, and I'm going to push her on this end as much as I can. I'm going to put her bum down and get her to kind of lean back. So, like I said, she's not really high enough. Her head's not high enough. The more at an angle she is, the better. Just make sure you don't make it the way she could just fall right out. Always, baby safety is more important than beauty. That's something that you have to remember. Okay, so that one's this is a little bit better. Obviously, my baby is just, she's still awake, and she is not bending like I want her to. Okay, did I lose my phone? I can probably see it, but I don't know where it is. Okay, I just spent a few minutes looking for the phone, which if you've ever been to any of my sessions, you know that I always lose my camera, even though it's like 15 pounds, and I'm always looking around for it. So that's just part of the job. Okay, so I have my baby in the basket. I'm keeping in mind her body's at an angle. Bum is tucked nice tightly down here. The basket's weighted. I kind of have this I want to be able to see the basket, but some of it can have like this fabric over it. This floor is very orange, and you can tell just by looking at it. So what would be a better idea is if I had like, do I have some dollies? Oh, I know everyone's got doilies. Doilies? Doilies. 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 I have bad English skills. You could put this under the baby, which I'm going to do, just to kind of give a little bit more, you know, layers and texture. If you have carpet, don't cheat on carpet. Put it on. You could use that fuzzy rug. You could use a blanket. Use anything. If you have nice wood floors, then just use the wood floors. I'm going to use the wood floors. Okay. I'm going to come down, stand over the baby, and I'm going to put the camera. I can already feel it about to fall out of my hands. So I'm going to take the picture of her looking. Look at her. She's looking straight at me. She's got like a bump right here. So that's another thing that you can kind of work out with not a plastic baby. So I'm taking it. Notice how I'm taking it kind of down the face, but straight above. You always want to stand above. A lot of times when I'm editing photos, my feet are in the shot. You can take one from much higher. I have some shadows coming around, so be careful of that. Take ones a little bit higher. Okay? And you can take some from the side. I'm not going to do that because she's just not that cute. Anyways, okay. So that pretty much wraps up 3 different poses. If you had an idea that you wanted to try that wasn't too complicated and you wanted me to try to walk you through with things that you could use at home, feel free to message me and let me know. I would love the challenge. Not that I can promise I can help you. A few other things before I go. You want the room to be pretty warm. So I have this little heater. It's the best. It never gets too hot. It doesn't burn you, but I'll let it blow on me in the winter just because I like to have hot air blowing on my face. It warms up the room really quickly. Anyone who's ever come knows we will be sweating at the end. So this little heater is really helpful. If you don't have a heater, just make a warm space in your house. Baby's not going to want to be cold. Once the baby's wrapped, cozy, turn off the heater because you don't want them to overheat. Okay, the other thing that I have here is a sound machine. I'm going to turn it on. Nice calming sound. You can have that going. I'm not really sure if it helps anything. I know sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. I haven't really noticed the difference. There's also a little shusher, which I do not know where it is, that you can move near the baby. I've had some babies where you would put that next to them and they just sack out. Have other babies couldn't care less. So these 2 things, the sound machine and a heater, are just going to help you. They're not necessary. I think that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. And I hopefully will be back to taking pictures again soon.